To properly treat obstructive sleep apnea, the focus should be to restore posturally, cranially, neurologically, physiologically, the proper nasal breathing mechanics.
And a lot of adults, they'll use a CPAP machine.
Basically, it pushes the air, positive pressure air, to keep that space open. Well, it's not a permanent fix. It's something you have to wear every night for the rest of your life.
Right.
And adherence to this treatment has been very low. ASM, American Academy of Sleep Medicine, came up and said, we really have no quite conclusive study to show the quality of life or any of the metabolic conditions have been improved with use of CPAP. And I concur.
Welcome to the Answers for Elders radio show.
And welcome back, everyone, to Answers for Elders Radio Network. And I am here with Dr. Bahar Esmaili from Vivos Therapeutics, talking about sleep apnea. And in this segment, Dr. Esmaili, I would love to talk about treatment. People say, well, if I have sleep apnea, what do I do about it?
Well, first of all, we find out why you're not properly breathing. And we start by saying the normal way of breathing is properly through the nose to the diaphragm. That is basically where the focus of treatment should be, is to understand and find out why your body and your nervous system is not providing you an opportunity to properly breathe through your nose. One of the main reasons, Susan, that folks lack nasal breathing is constriction in their nose, which is the structure of the nose. And right underneath the nose is the palate, the roof of the mouth. And the reason for that narrow passage for airflow and for the palate is lack of proper tongue posture. Lack of proper tongue posture could be for many reasons. Some folks never actually had the proper structures to support the tongue at the roof. If you're familiar with the tongue tightness, tethered tissue in the mouth, and postural distortions, distortion in the cranium at birth or after that, lack of proper development, all of which can contribute to a small mouth, underdeveloped face, lack of proper tongue posture, and lack of nasal breathing. To properly treat obstructive sleep apnea, the focus should be to restore posturally, cranially, neurologically, physiologically, the proper nasal breathing mechanics. And that's pretty much where I focus my attention to evaluate the patients, the entirety of nervous system and posture, with sophisticated scan of their head, posture, some other metrics of their nervous system, and a good sleep test, so we can find out why and narrow their therapy to address the why in a multidisciplinary approach.
And a lot of adults, they'll use a CPAP machine.
Yeah.
Why is that the standard treatment, and what are its challenges?
You know what? CPAP has been known for gold standard. And by the way, in 2021, one of the major suppliers of CPAP, Respironics, I believe, had a major recall on these machines, which introduced a huge problem for the system. What CPAP does is just a reverse vacuum. It pushes air into an airway that's basically shutting down from a collapse of the tongue, or just collapse of this part of the airway that's in the behind the tongue. Basically, it pushes the air, positive pressure air, to keep that space open. Well, it's not a permanent fix. It's something you have to wear every night for the rest of your life.
Right.
And adherence to this treatment has been very low, and the effectiveness of that, as a matter of fact, 4 years ago, the ASM, American Academy of Sleep Medicine, came up and said, we really have no quite conclusive study to show the quality of life or any of the metabolic conditions have been improved with use of CPAP. And I concur. It doesn't address the root cause of breathing. If we give you a clutch for 8 hours during the day, we haven't addressed the real problem with the breathing, the other 2/3. And that's pretty much how we address it at Vivos, is correctly addressing the space in the tongue, in the tongue space, palate, nasal function, postural evaluation of the pelvis and spine, so we can get you breathing better through your nose to diaphragm. So you don't need a clutch, you don't need a Band-Aid, you don't need a machine for the rest of your life, so that your brain can properly function.
Yeah. And obviously, to seek out these types of treatments, you can learn more on your website. Just as far as if someone goes to your website, what are they going to learn and what are they going to experience?
Well, first of all, let me announce by saying our appliances are the one and only oral appliance therapies that have been cleared by FDA for treatment of mild, all the way to severe obstructive sleep apnea in both adults and children. This does not hold true for any other treatment. So I'm overjoyed to let your audience know not only we are in fact equivalent of CPAP, but our therapies and modalities that we use have been cleared to address this problem in a novel approach. So absolutely reach out to us. Check out my Instagram. I post a lot of great information. Also the YouTube channel at the Vivos website. You can find all that, and also my podcast. I'm trying to share as much good stories from the patients for audiences that have similar problems, because for every patient, the story is different. But at the end of the day, the solution always remains the same.
Right.
Restore nasal breathing.
And obviously, indicators that you probably should check it out is if you're waking up at night often, or if you're finding that you're not fully rested.
Snoring, feeling fatigued during the day. And believe it or not, Susan, somebody might hear that and say, you know what, I got a sleep test and it came up as mild or non-positive for OSA. Let me tell you, if you're waking up at night, if you're unable to retain sleep cycle, you are not feeling fresh when you wake up, you're yawning through the day, and you're losing battery and charge by midday onward, you have an upper airway resistance syndrome, which basically means you are affected. You just don't have the parameters registered.
Wow.
You don't stop breathing 15 times per hour for 10 seconds. So I think those are the ones that benefit the most from our treatment, especially those. I would encourage all your audience to do their research, because just because you don't have the metrics registered doesn't mean you don't have a problem. I'd say no such a thing as a little pregnant, is there?
We'll be right back right after this.
Did you know that you can discover hundreds of podcasts in our library on senior care? So visit our website and discover our decision guides that will help you also navigate decision making. Find us at answersforelders.com.